What's up guys, it's Paul from eCommerce Gold, and in this video we're going to be looking at Wix to see whether or not it's a good option for building an online store by looking at how much it costs, what you get for your money, and a quick overview of what the platform is like to use. So let's get started. Right, so the first thing I'm going to be looking at is pricing, and Wix offers 3 packages that allows you to sell online, which is the Wix Basic, which costs $27 a month, Wix Unlimited, which costs $32 a month, and the Wix VIP package that costs $59 a month. Now the great thing with all these packages is you can sell unlimited products and you get unlimited bandwidth, which is really good. They also don't have any annual turnover limits, and there's no additional transaction fees that Wix charges, which sounds amazing, which is better than what a lot of other e-commerce platforms offer. And the main differences between the packages are the amount of storage you get, because on the basic you get 20 gigabytes of storage, on the unlimited plan you get 35 gigabyte of storage, and on the VIP plan you get 50 gigabyte of storage. And there is also a difference in the features you get available with the large packages, including some additional features to help you start selling online. Now, if your business starts to grow with Wix, they also offer a custom enterprise package, which is built purposely for your business. And the price of this package does depend on your requirements in terms of what you need for your website. So in terms of pricing, there's really not much to complain about when it comes to Wix. It is very reasonably priced. But what do you get for your money? Well, that's what we're going to look at next by looking at the features. And one of the things I will say about Wix is over the last few years, they have definitely put more emphasis on the e-commerce side of their platform by adding additional features. And considering the price of the platform, there are some pretty good features available. Now on screen is my full written review of Wix, which goes through the features in much more detail, and I'm not going to read through every single feature because that would just be me reading off the screen, which is incredibly boring, but I will leave a link to the written post in the description below. So if you want to go and see a breakdown of these features, you can do by checking out the written review. But there are some good tools in terms of e-commerce tools, but also marketing. Now on the face of it, the marketing tools are pretty good from Wix because there's lots of different things you can do with multi-channel selling. You can set up email campaigns, and you can also set up Facebook and Instagram ads directly through the Wix dashboard, which is really good. They do have a strong emphasis on the marketing side of e-commerce, which without marketing you're not going to get sales, so it's a good sign. They do have some good SEO tools as well. They also offer a good selection of payment gateways, and there's a good selection of shipping options as well as integrations with third-party like order management, shipping, fulfillment options available, including drop shipping and print on demand. There's also a good selection of reporting and analytics tools, so you can go through and see what you're selling, where you're selling, what's selling well, etc. And they also have their own app marketplace, which if you're going to be integrating with third-party platforms or there's additional features you need on your Wix store, you're probably going to need to go into the app marketplace. Now there is a good selection of apps with over 300 that you can choose from, and there's apps being added all the time, adding different like features and functionality. But not all of these apps are free to use. Some of these are paid options. They may offer a free plan or a free trial, but to get access to all the features, you are going to have to go onto a paid plan, which is going to be charged on top of your Wix subscription fee. So when it comes to features, when it comes to the price of the platform, there's really not much to complain about. It's a good selection, and as I say, they're constantly looking to add new features. So next thing we're going to look at is the theme selection and customization, because this is an important part of setting up your store. You want it to look good because basically this is what customers are going to see. Now when it comes to theme selection, they have over 100 themes available or templates available for your Wix store, which is really good. But there's one negative thing when it does come to the templates, and this is the fact that you can't quickly and easily change your template with Wix. Because you choose a template for your store, you set your store up, and say you want to change it. Maybe you realize it's not really fitting your business and brand. You can't just go in and quickly and easily change the template. You actually have to basically go in, build a new site, transfer your subscription across, which isn't the most easy to do process. I've tried it and I got quite confused in the process. And I'm used to using these platforms a lot. So this is one thing that's a negative for me, is the fact that you can't just quickly and easily change your template, which makes basically redesigning your store quite difficult. But what's Wix like when it comes to customization? Because it's something you want to know about. You want to customize the template that you've chosen for your store. So if we go into our Wix dashboard, click on Site and App. Once it loads, and one thing you will notice when you're using Wix is it can take a while for different pages to load on your site. It's not the quickest loading dashboard out there. So if we click on Edit Site, it'll bring up the theme customizer. And once again, as you can see, it's taking a while to load. It's not quick, it's not snappy like some of the other platforms out there. And this is something I will cover a little bit more in another section where we look at basically the hosting and performance of the Wix platform. So that took quite a few seconds to actually get into the dashboard, into the Wix editor, which isn't really a great thing. But there is a lot you can do when you actually get into the editor. So what you can do is you can go through, you can add elements to your site. So there's lots of different elements available. You can add sections to your page. So this is my demo site that I've got set up, and you can go through and set up different elements. See, it's just not responsive when I'm putting inputs into the editor. It's taking a while to load different things, which is just a little bit frustrating. But you can see there's lots of different sections you can add. There's menus and pages, so your navigation menu. You've got your site design, so you can go in and change backgrounds and things like that, colors and text. There's a lot you can do. And you also need to manage all of your apps via the editor as well, which isn't the most optimal way to do things in my opinion. But this is where you go in and install any apps that you want to add to your store, and you can also remove them via the editor as well. That's how you need to remove them. Not the most optimal thing in my opinion. So there's lots you can do from the sidebar, but one of the things that is almost a negative with the Wix editor is there's almost too much you can do in terms of customization. So if we click on the header here, and you can see the e-commerce gold logo, which I've added to the store, what you can do is you can drag it around. Then you get all these little prompts come up that can be frustrating when you're trying to record a video, but you can drag it around so it appears where you want it to. Now, this might not seem like a bad thing initially, but what you can end up doing is you can end up spending too much time coming in and making little adjustments here and there, dragging and dropping, that's not going to have a major impact on your site, on your customer's user experience. It's almost a case when it comes to theme customization that less is more. So you just go in, set your alignment up and things like that, and then you just go on and carry on building and marketing your site. Whereas with the Wix editor, there's just too much you can do. There's too many little changes you can make, and you can end up wasting a lot of time and not really achieve all that much. So I would actually like to see this simplified and see more kind of default options available that would make it easier and also quicker to go in, build your store, and basically get on with running your business. So that's the theme selection and customization. It's good in terms of theme selection. Changing templates isn't great, and to me there's just too much you can do in terms of theme customization. Right, so next up we are going to talk about support. Now, Wix offers 24/7 support to all English speaking users. Users in other languages, support times do vary, and if you go into the help center, there is a page that does list all the support times for the different languages that they support. And they do actually support a lot of languages, which is really good. But the 24-hour support comes from email tickets, live chat, and also over the phone via a callback feature. So basically, you let them know you want to speak to them and they will give you a call back. And one of the things that they have changed, which has actually improved the support options available from Wix, is they added a live chat icon to the dashboard, well, the little help icon to the dashboard. So if you click on this, it brings up basically a help center directly in your dashboard. When it loads, recurring theme here, it takes a while for things to load on Wix, which is incredibly frustrating. And no, I don't have a slow internet connection. This really doesn't want to load, does it? But basically what this does is it opens up like a help center in your dashboard that you can actually go through, start live chat with their bot, and then you can navigate that to actually speak to one of the people in Wix, which is really good. I can't seem to close this now, which is annoying. But having that icon available in the dashboard has made it a lot easier, because you used to have to go in and navigate through the help center, and they basically used to hide the details for contacting their support. So this has improved things, even though it doesn't seem to be loading. So next up, as we're talking about things taking a while to load, let's talk about the hosting and performance, because this is a big issue with Wix. Now, when it comes to the hosting environment that Wix offers, it actually took quite a bit of digging to find out all the information because it's not easily accessible on the Wix website. And what I found was you get unlimited bandwidth, a free SSL certificate, 99.8% uptime, a global CDN and PCI compliant servers, which is what you want when you're processing basically sales online. And this all sounds great on paper, but I wanted to put them to the test. So I took 5 live customer example Wix websites and ran them through Uptrend's speed tool once a day for 3 days to get a good spread of data using their New York based server. And this is how well Wix performed. And these figures are not good. Load time, average 4 seconds across mobile and desktop. That's really not good. That is going to cost you customers because it does take a while for Wix sites to load, and their Google performance is pretty abysmal. 20 out of 100 on mobile and 54 out of 100 on desktop. That is really bad, especially the fact that Core Web Vitals are now a ranking factor. So if SEO is an important part of your marketing strategy, this is something you need to take into consideration. And I've also got to the point, because I test that many different websites, I review lots of different websites, that 9 times out of 10, I can guess whether that's a Wix website or not just by the way it loads, because Wix websites are very slow on loading, because you can actually see elements loading in on the web page, whether it's on desktop or mobile. You can see individual elements loading in. And this isn't great for user experience because customers want to go onto the site and the site just works. We're used to that as consumers nowadays, and Wix just doesn't seem to offer this. And this is also noticeable in the dashboard as well, as I've shown in this video. It takes time for the pages to load, whether it's navigating around your dashboard, opening the help center, going into the editor. Everything seems to take a lot longer than it should to load, which really isn't great from a company the size of Wix. It's something they definitely need to improve. Right, so next we're going to look at what Wix is like to use, because basically up until now we've covered facts and figures. So what we're going to do is going to look at what it's like to get started with, what it's like to actually use in terms of inventory management, and also what it's like to use for order management, because these are 3 areas that are important when it comes to building an e-commerce website. So let's go back into our Wix dashboard. As you can see, the help center still hasn't loaded. So let's try going to a different page, see if we can get rid of this. No, let's try refreshing it. You'll get used to this loading icon, by the way, if you use Wix. This is just reiterating my point in the last section about the hosting and performance. It just takes time for the Wix dashboard to load, and it's frustrating when you're coming on and trying to do something. No, oh, there's the help center. This is what it looks like. So you can go through the Wix bot and you can type things in, and if you know how to navigate it, you can actually get through to a human user, which is quite good. But we'll close that down for the time being. Now, getting started with Wix is actually pretty simple, and I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to go and try them out for yourself, because they do offer a free plan and you can install the Wix Stores app as part of the sign up process and test it all out for yourself. But if you want to actually take live payments, you do need to upgrade to one of the e-commerce packages, which I mentioned at the start of the video. But getting started with pretty simple. All you need is an email address and to create a password. Then you'll be asked some questions in the setup process to basically get your store set up. And when you've been through the setup process, it'll ask you things like what apps you want to install. Do you want to install Wix stores, things like that. So just follow the process. And once you've been through that, you'll be brought to your admin dashboard. And on your first sign in, you'll be greeted by a setup guide. Well, until you complete the setup guide, you'll be greeted by a setup guide. And this is pretty good, and it's tailored to the options that you add when you're setting up your store. So if you're setting up Wix stores, you'll add options for setting up Wix stores. And there are some good options included in the setup guides, all the basic things you need to do. And basically you just click on it, follow the guides that it tells you, and you can set up that process for your online store. So overall, the setup guide isn't too bad. Now, the dashboard itself is pretty simple to use, but one thing I will say is the dashboard homepage seems to change every few months. They seem to redesign it, and then you log on to it and you're like, oh, everything's changed today. So be prepared for that if you do sign up for Wix. But overall, it's pretty easy to use. There's some good sections on the homepage, and the navigation menu is pretty easy to use. Now, one thing I will say with the navigation menu is if you install quite a few different Wix apps, they will add headings to the navigation menu, and this can get quite long, which does make it a bit more difficult to navigate from one section to another because it could be buried somewhere in your navigation menu. But generally, it's pretty well laid out. The headings are pretty well labeled, so no real complaints on that one. The only thing is it can take time to navigate from one page to another, but I'm not going to labor on that point. So next up, let's look at inventory management. So if we go into our store products and we add a new product to see what that page is like, as you can see, it takes a few seconds for pages to load. When you click on add new product, it'll ask you, do you want to create a physical product or a digital product? Now these pages are pretty similar, but there are some slight differences because obviously physical products and digital products do have some slightly different elements. So if we just go on physical product, it'll open up the page when it loads, and it is a pretty easy to use page because they've gone with a single page layout, which makes it nice and easy to go through and add all the relevant information. So you set up your images, videos, go through, set up all the basic information, your product title, description, set your pricing up, allow an option to add customization or personalization to your product, which is a nice little feature as standard. You can set up your product options like variations and things like that. Set up your inventory. You can also set it for pre-order as well. A nice little feature that I do like. So if you've got a product and you're going to be releasing it in, I don't know, 6 weeks, 2 months, something, you can start building up some demand for that product through your social media marketing and get people to pre-order that product, which is quite good. And you can also set up your subscriptions as well. And then on the right hand side, you choose to add it to your collections. You can choose to promote the product directly from setting the product up or editing the product, which is quite nice. And then the advanced sections is where it's fulfilled by and what the brand of that product is. So overall, no real issues with the add new product page. It's nice and simple to use. But what about when it comes to organizing your products? You've set them up, you want to create a nice hierarchy for your products. Well, for this, we go into the collections, and adding a new collection is very simple. Just click new collection and it brings up a new page, and you simply create a title for it, add the products to that collection, set an image if you want to, and promote it if you want. Very, very simple. But there is one negative when it comes to the collections, and that is you can't create sub-collections in Wix. You can only create one level, which isn't really great because when you want to set up a hierarchy, you want multiple levels for your product. So you'd have, say, men's clothing, then, I don't know, t-shirts, jeans, things like that. You can't really do that in Wix because it's just got this main kind of parent heading, which means it's not ideal in terms of a hierarchy for a store with a lot of different products in a lot of different categories, because you can't set up that good hierarchy that makes it easier for you to navigate, but also easier for your customers to navigate as well. So what's it like to actually manage your inventory? You've got everything set up, your store is live, and you want to manage your inventory on the go. What's this like to use? Well, they do have an inventory management page, which allows you to quickly and easily go in and change your stock levels if you've set inventory management in your product. And this is very simple to do. You just come in here, quickly change it, and you're good to go. Now, there is a few more things you can do. So if you go onto the products page, select all the options here, and you'll have a more actions tab appear at the top. What you can do is you can manage your collections, you can change the price, so you can basically do a global update of the pricing. So you can do things like increase by a certain amount or increase by a percentage, but you can't go in and individually change the prices. If you wanted to go in and just change that one, but also change that one as well, just in a bulk overview, you can't do that. You need to go in on a product by product basis. So the bulk options aren't great with Wix. So if you do have a large inventory, it might be a bit frustrating going through and actually managing them, because a lot of times you are going to have to go in and manage the products on a product by product basis, which isn't ideal. And finally, let's look at what it's like to manage your orders, because one of the recent changes that Wix has made, which is a very good change in my opinion, is that when you're basically trialing out the Wix Stores app, you're on the free plan, you can actually create test orders to see what the order management is like, which is really good. You never used to be able to do this before. Now, the order management in Wix is actually pretty good. So if we select this order, you can see that you can fulfill it. So you can change the fulfillment status, you can mark it as paid, you can create an invoice for it. You can also choose to export it via a CSV file, and you can choose to print it as well. And you can do all this in bulk. So if you have multiple orders, you can do all this in bulk, which is really, really good. I do like this. And if you go into the order, there's things you can do individually. So under the More Actions tab, you can mark it as fulfilled, you can print order, you can cancel the order. There's quite a few different options when it comes to order management. Honestly, nothing to really complain about here. Everything just seems to work, and it works really well, and it just makes order management really easy within Wix. Right, so is Wix a good option for building an online store? It's okay. It's definitely got some plus points because the pricing is very attractive, especially when you compare it to the competition. They offer a good selection of features as standard, and there's a large number of free templates that you can use. All very appealing. But there are some downsides to the platform that mean it wouldn't be my go-to option for building an online store. The main one is the hosting and performance. It's definitely an issue with Wix, and it has been for quite a few years now, because I've been testing Wix for 3 or 4 years, and it's something they've not really improved on. And not only is it very evident on the front end of a lot of websites, because as I say, you can go onto some websites and you can see individual elements loading in, which is something you don't want. Customers are going to click off and go somewhere else. But it's really evident in the dashboard as well. As I've shown in this video, navigating from one page to another, you get used to that little circle loading up. And this just makes it frustrating to use from a website owner standpoint, because there's things you want to do and you want to go in and do them quickly. It can be very difficult to do this on Wix. And the second negative for me is not being able to quickly and easily go in and change your theme or your template, because it may be that you choose the wrong template when you're setting up your store, or you're up and running and you realize it's not quite fitting your business and branding. And you should be able to quickly and easily go in and change your template the same way you can on every other e-commerce platform, but you can't do it quickly and easily with Wix. It's a very frustrating process to use, and it's not straightforward either. And this just isn't great. It should be a quick, basically, I want to choose this, I want to make some customizations, I want to set it to live. You can't do that in Wix. It's another frustrating process that they've got set up, which is something that they should have changed up until this point. And number 3 is the customizer, because there's almost too much you can do in there. And the fact that you have to manage your apps via the customizer as well, I just don't like this. There's too much reliance on it, and there's too much you can do. You can waste hours making pointless little changes to your site that's going to have no real impact or benefit to your customers, and basically increasing conversion rates. And overall, I just find it a kind of frustrating platform to use. And it's also sometimes not the easiest. Of all the platforms I've tested, it's the one where I've spent most of the time either in the help center or searching Google for how to do things. It's not the most intuitive, and in a lot of cases it's not the most easy to use platform, especially when you compare it to some of its competition, which are a lot more basically user friendly than what I think Wix is. So there you go, there's my conclusion of Wix. And while it's an okay offering, I do think there's some better options out there, such as Shopify. Now, if you found this video helpful in any way, shape or form, a like would be very much appreciated. And thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.